Hey, everybody, I'm Chris.
And I'm Phil.
And I'm Bob.
And we're from the Misdirected Mark podcast, and you're listening to Gaming and BS.
With twice as much Wisconsin cheese.
Welcome to Gaming and BS episode 71, where we're going to be talking about Dungeon Crawl Classics from Goodman Games. I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome back, folks. If you're new, glad to have you on board.
Yes, indeed. Let's kick this sucker off, Brett.
Let us do it.
All right.
In the announcements category, talked about this last couple of shows. I was at EverCon, evercon.org if you're interested in it. It's a small convention run by the high school I went to, DC Everest, up in my hometown of Wausau, Wisconsin. And I think they had probably 1,300 people come through. It's a day and a half. It's all day Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. and only half the day on Friday. Basically at 4 o'clock when school's over, we quickly do the rest of our setup work and then kick the thing off. But it was a heck of a time. I ran.
Did you kill any players?
Yes, I did.
Awesome.
Most of them were children too, which made me awesome. Oh wait, no, characters, not players. Players were not slain, just characters. I only kill characters at cons because it's hard to hide bodies anywhere else. Anyway, my boys had a really good time there. Brought both my sons, which was their first convention. AJ's 9. He's like, I want to play Call of Cthulhu with you, Dad. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to get into this, and I might have to kick him out if he doesn't go well. He just dove right in. There were 3 other kids there, like early teens. One was probably 12. And the Cthulhu game I ran was super tight. And D&D 5e went really well. Let's see, what else did I do? I think I did those 2. Oh, and I ran Redbox because Frank Menster was a guest of honor there. And my boy Connor had a chance to play with him for about 3-4 hours. So that was a hoot. Frank was just awesome. I was expecting at this little bitty con, I'm like, I wonder who's heard of Frank Menstner here, all these high school kids and so forth. But every grognard in the Wausau area showed up, mobbed the guy, autographs, everything. It was cool to see him. And I got to see some BSers. Jeff Rademacher showed up. Kevin Lovecraft and Austin were there, as well as, of course, my buddy Zave, who's also part of the con, along with Alpha Bill. So that was cool.
JR showed up?
Yes, JR showed up briefly too.
Excellent.
And I got to reconnect with an old gamer friend of mine, Nick. I hadn't seen him since he's now ex-Army, but before he redeployed was the last time I'd seen him, which was ages ago. So it's kind of cool to see him back.
I heard Chad Knight got inducted into the DCE Hall of Fame.
Yes, the Gaming Club Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Inducted, yes. We call it being induced.
Induced into the Hall of Fame.
It's they're trying to make a very solemn affair of it, and it's a really cool thing. So, of course, I'm in the back, and as soon as I call Chad's name, I scream, "We love you, Chad!" as loud as I can, which is fun.
And well-deserved, I'm sure.
Chad puts a ton of effort into that con and everything around that gaming club, so it's really cool.
Yeah, well, that's
good.
And
on a sad note, this is the first podcast I have with my new reading glasses. I've apparently become old, and I can no longer read because my arms are too goddamn short. So I now have reading glasses.
And for
looking at computers, everything is a hell of a lot sharper with these things on.
Right, and most people, when you wear glasses, they're told that they look more intelligent, but that doesn't apply to you, Brett.
I just assumed you can't get more intelligent looking than I already was, and I was already at the pinnacle. So now I just look like a bearded nerd. That's basically where I'm at. Anyway, that's all I had. Sean, you got any announcements?
The older you get, the nerdier you will become.
There you go.
No, I don't have any announcements. Let's get him a random encounter, dude.
Listener time.
Random encounter, element of the show, segment of the show, part of the show, where we talk emails, voicemails, and comments from social media and from you. You want to read the first one? You want me to get it, Brett?
You start.
Mark Dawson, official archivist of Gaming MBS, emails us, "Hey BSers," then he quotes himself, "unofficial archivist of the show."
We actually had a meeting, Sean. You are the official archivist. That's been done.
Yep.
You will receive the same pay as you were previously, so expect the same $0 in your wallet.
That's right, Mark. I'm able to confirm with certainty that there has not been a previous mention of tabletopaudio.com during die roll. So last week on die roll, we had tabletopaudio.com as a die roll. I thought we might have mentioned it prior, but we did not. So he is confirming that, as a good archivist should.
As well, he should.
Plus, there's the handsomely redesigned website that catalogs every die roll you've ever featured on Gaming NBS, so I was able to double-check my facts. There's a redesigned website that catalogs our every die roll?
I think that would be the thing the web design you did. He's telling you, Sean, you did a good job redesigning the website. Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. Thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
We're slow today.
Slow. Thanks. He continues. We'll get through this. Regarding the main topic of the past 2 episodes, admittedly, I've not played any of the Star Wars RPGs despite being a fanboy. Most reviews I've heard of the current Fantasy Flight system for Star Wars echo your own, though. Seems like a pretty steep learning curve, but a lot of fun once everyone gets the hang of interpreting the dice. I've heard one complaint that the dice mechanic can get a little tedious, especially at higher levels where even more dice are involved, but I applaud Fantasy Flight Games' efforts on boldly going where no man has gone. Wait, wrong star reference. Sorry.
I liked it.
I don't think that's very funny, Brett.
It's funny to me. Keep going.
Anywho, the majority of role players stop role playing as soon as combat begins. Everything becomes very tactical, mechanical, and lacks any relevance to plot or story. Action should propel the story forward, not take us out of it. So introducing a dice mechanic that encourages details and forces, no pun intended, narrative responsibility on the players is a great idea. Moving on to episode 71 and beyond, you mentioned topics have already been chosen for every show through May of this year. Do you have the schedule posted anywhere so that listeners might contribute content in advance? Keep up the quality gaming. So, Mark, yeah, we did post maybe a link to the spreadsheet. I actually don't know if we did or if we just kind of copy-pasted it somewhere.
If it's not up, we will make sure it does get up.
Yeah, we'll share it out to the public, and I think everything's pretty much set. We'll probably move things here and there as needed, but yeah.
On the topic of the dice, I was talking with Kevin and Austin. We're both playing in Sean's game. We were talking at EverCon, and I said, I've got the hang of the dice now, and they're so much freaking fun to roll because I want to see what comes of them now. So every time we have an opportunity to roll the dice in Edge of the Empire, I'm like, look, can I roll some dice now, please? Because I want to do something cool. I want to make up something. I want to do this thing, and it's a blast. So it becomes fun to do it. I like it.
Brett's like a little kitten in dice.
Yeah, a little bit.
He gets to the table and kind of swats them around with his hands, and he wants to roll them. He's like, "Can I get them?
Can I? Come on, give me a boost. Someone give me a boost die.
That's
give me
right.
a boost die.
Can I get a boost die?" And then he kind of knocks them around.
The red ones are bad. I want a bad one. I want to see what happens when I do something bad.
It's quite amusing. You want to take Zach's? Thanks for writing in, Mark. Much appreciated. And thanks for keeping us on track and keeping track of us.
Yes, Zach Corbin on Facebook. He commented in our group over there on episode 68, ending the campaign. I heard, as I heard from Phil from Misdirected Mark recently, say most campaigns have unfortunately ended with, so do you guys want to play something else? Or some variant of that. But once I actually ended the game well. I was running a Star Wars game set during the Rebellion era using Savage Worlds that had the PCs go from novice rank to well into legendary over the course of a few years of off and on gaming. During the game, they had tangentially interacted with the main Star Wars heroes and story, like the time they captured the Rancor for Bib Fortuna as a gift for Jabba. I think I know who the first person was. I know who the second one is. That was me talking, not the author here. Or blasting on Mos Eisley Spaceport as Vader's Star Destroyer was capturing the tentative V. Anyway, I decided that the PCs would be present for the Battle of Endor, but since they weren't part of the rebellion, I kind of tricked them into being there. Long story short, they completely changed the course of battle, including a lightsaber duel, an ancient ruin ending in a PC's death, a Superstar Destroyer crashing into the moon, and starting a gigantic forest fire, other PCs having to escape their ruined transport in escape pods. It was an epic way to finish off the game that left them wondering what would happen next while completing the arc of the story. I don't know if I'll be able to catch that lightning in a bottle again, but damn it, will I try. Nice. I like the fact that there's a large forest fire where there's Ewoks, so that there's just roasted Ewok carcasses everywhere.
Where's Wayne? Wayne would not appreciate that comment at all.
Wayne will be mad.
Wayne is across from me and he's sleeping, so he's lucky. You were lucky he didn't hear that.
For those who don't know, Wayne is our house Ewok. He He drinks a lot and he mooches off of
We
Sean.
found him in Janesville near Noble Knight Games and put him
on
on
a ride. We strapped him on the back of Sean's Beamer and we just rode off.
Yep, we have a collection dedicated to Wayne on Google Plus. If you are really unfamiliar with Wayne, get to know him, even though he's quite an asshole.
But I'll tell you what, man, Zach, I like the story, and some of the best gamer war stories are like, oh, this is how this thing happened. And when you end a campaign in this really cool epic or really awesome format, it's really neat because if nothing else, when I read stuff like that, when I hear that from fellow gamers, I draw inspiration from it going, that's cool. I don't like Star Wars, as I've said before, but guess what? I could turn this into a Firefly ending. I could turn this into this other ending. It's always cool to hear that stuff, especially when it goes well. I can pick out the gems and move on from there. Next one is yours, sir.
Jim Fitzpatrick. Fellow Irishman, I'm guessing. Writes, hey, Brett and Sean, new fan of the show, working my way through the back catalog over the past few weeks and also listening to new episodes as they come out. So before I go any further, I listened to episode 1. Man, it totally sucks. Big ass, Brett. Yeah, it's terrible.
That's a shame. I was probably really on, and it was you who were stumbling. Is that true?
I don't know. We got to re-record some of that old stuff.
Because
what happens is one person will like listen to it and go, I started at 1 and I didn't like it. One person actually wrote in and said they didn't like it, but they came back, right? We mentioned them on in one of the shows. Yeah. But yeah, some of those are, oof, wow.
But part of it's the epic story of how we grew from this little bitty fledgling. Never mind. Anyway, that's a good idea. We should probably re-record them.
All right. So, hey, Jim, thanks for actually listening and then sticking with us past like episode 5, 6, and 7, because I don't think they got there hardly decent until after that. All right. Anyways, I'm about halfway caught up with enjoying the great way to break up the boredom of work. Also, thanks for all the news about the local scene, FLGSs and cons and stuff. I'm newish to Madison, and it really helps. Hey, Mad City local guy. Woot.
Excellent.
Cheese and beer for you, buddy.
I like him already.
Hope he's going to GaryCon. Hope you're going to GaryCon, Jim.
When is that? That's the first part of March.
First weekend in March. We went over this before the show started, Brett. Focus, buddy.
That's a pitch for you to say the words. Anyway, keep on.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brett. One thing I didn't see anywhere in the feed is an episode about non-combat encounters that still use dice. A ton of systems have a mechanic for this. D&D 4E and Fate come to mind most quickly for me. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but would be interested to hear. Must put down on future topic.
Already done.
The players, did you do it?
Yes, I did.
Good job, Brett.
Thank you.
The players in the Pathfinder game that I run loved it when I house ruled 4E style skill challenges into Pathfinder, and now they ask for skill challenges all the time. I'm also writing a half-assed series of posts on Medium when I can get to them about the theory of these encounters and how I'm converting them to 5E. If you want to read them, they're here. And then
we'll have to have a link in the show notes for this.
No need to pimp that if this is somehow ends up as a topic, but if you can if you want. Anyway, just a thought. Keep up the good work. Beer for each of you on me next time we're at the same con.
Oh, now Jim is now my new favorite person.
Yay, Jim. And so for those of you that are not aware of like the skill challenge in 4E, it's a set of skill challenges. It's skill checks in a series, and based on the amount that you pass and how well determines kind of the overall scene. And you can have multiple people involved with those skill checks. So think of the best analogy I could think of in visualization would be like the Italian Job. So if they're pulling off the big heist, you've got the hacker guy that's on the computer doing the traffic lights, and then you have the people that are actually driving the cars and all that stuff. So everything kind of has to come into place, and different people make different checks. And then based on how many checks you succeed on will kind of determine the results in a nutshell.
So if we were FFGing it for our Star Wars game, we'd be boost dice across the table and force dice and other things like that. So similar type of approach.
I think so.
It makes some of the boring, it sounds like it makes some of the boring, quote unquote, skill checks a little more exciting. Everybody's got something to do with it, a little more challenge, add some narrative coolness.
That would be correct. Have you run skill challenges, Brett?
Not like that. I've done things similar to that, where people, you have to roll used to back in Vampire days when I ran that, they're trying to do something like, look, you need a total of 15 successes. Everybody go. And this person would roll and they would get 2. Yay, we got 2. Okay, 2 off of 15. Somebody else does the math because Brett can't. So we got 13 left. And then bam, 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 you work your way through. And it comes down to, they would usually save the last guy. I would tell them who they can roll whatever order they want. The guy who had the biggest die pool, because the die pool mechanic would wait to be the last guy because he had the best chance to make up whatever slack was out there. So, and then if they succeeded early, any other additional successes just was more, kick-assness that they were able to add into the scene. It's kind of fun.
Cool. So thanks for everybody writing in.
Absolutely.
Jim, I expect to see you at GaryCon. At least walk in and buy me a beer and then you can leave. And I'll tell you what, I'll even introduce you to somebody coming up here in a second. All right, topic of the week is Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Yeah, Sean and I have talked about this a bunch, right? We're talking about Goodman Games, Dungeon Crawl Classics. Sean has run it. He has played it. I have not had the opportunity to do either of those things, only read it a number of times, and I have stolen stuff from it for my other games, which I liked. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta get an opportunity to do it. This last Gamehole Con, I was going to. Time didn't allow it. Damn it, we got to do it. But Sean, we had to bring in somebody who's a hell of a lot smarter than both you and I.
We do.
Also try to bring a little extra class to the show.
Yes.
What did we do?
And we hit it twice. We fulfilled both requirements. So this week we're talking about Dungeon Crawl Classics, like we mentioned. And so we have a woman spent half her life cultivating her gaming pedigree and dice collection. It began with Lovecraftian horror and later D&D. She started running open table DCC RPG sessions in 2012. She's on the writing team for the Hobby Shop Dungeon / Crossroads to Adventure Project. You can find her a few game cons across the U.S. to include GaryCon in March. Jim,
awesome.
So I can introduce you to her. She is co-host on not one, but 2 awesome DCC-related podcasts, Spellburn, show that covers everything DCC, and Sanctum Secorum, a show that explores Appendix N literature and Dungeon Crawl Classics. Please welcome to the show, Jen Brinkman.
Hello, Jen.
Hey, guys.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the show, Jen. So we've asked Jen to be on here. I've actually gamed with Jen at GaryCon. She ran the Brandywine.
Oh, yes, they served Brandolin Red.
Brandolin Red. That's what
One
it
of
was.
the play tests for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's right. You were there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for filling out my table.
Yeah. Was it
My very first convention game, actually.
It was, yeah. And you didn't, and nobody punched you in the face.
So far, give it time. I mean, it's bound to happen eventually, right?
No.
Well, every
Or
game
is that
just
just
got a
you?
scar. You see this one on the side I got from? No. I'm
The
kidding.
only reason I say that, there's a guy in podcasting where he kind of talks about just kind of do it, right? Just put it out there, do it, and nobody will punch you in the face.
Okay,
Fair enough.
That's fairly sound.
That's where it comes from. Okay, never mind. Anyways, Dungeon Crawl Classics is a unique page. I thought I had the tome near me, but it's a big book.
It is. It is
Jen
very
and Brett
big.
are both holding these up so that Sean can see the girth of the book. I mean, not even but my young daughter, 7 years old, if she hit you with this book, she would fucking kill you with this book. This book is gigantic, and it is full of awesomeness.
It's like, what, 450 pages?
Oh, Christ, dude.
I think it's about 480 after all the ads. Yeah.
Yeah. So people are like, whoa, 480.
Well, fourth printing's going to be a little bit bigger too, especially with their gatefolds, with the reference charts that they're putting in there, and
Sweet.
yeah.
Well,
I'm looking forward to it.
So Jen, we can't talk Dungeon Crawl Classics without talking Appendix N, right?
This is true.
Appendix N, for those who do not know, if you've not played first edition AD&D, go find a buddy who's got a copy, pull it off your shelf, blow the dust off, crack to the back. There's a section called Appendix N. Sean, what's in Appendix N in the AD&D book?
List the books.
A massive list of books that Mr. Gygax, Gary Gygax, that is, of course, found inspirational. We're talking about Fritz Leiber's Lankmar series, the Fritz Leiber, Tolkien, Lovecraft. Oh God, who am I forgetting here? There's tons and tons of stuff out there.
So we're at like 3. Oh, we're at 4.
Michael Moorcock, and there's more and
Yes.
more and more. Anything classic. I think Robert Heinlein's mentioned. Jen is
Lord Dunsany, Andre
Yes.
Norton.
there. You go.
Yes, Lynn Carter, of course. Yeah, tons of them. That's actually one of the things that inspired the Sanctum Secorum is this list of Appendix N literature that it really inspired Mr. Goodman when he was putting this together. And so many people we were finding on the G Plus community page, a lot of them had read it, but they still weren't quite making the connection. So we're actually going through and reading stuff and giving you a report on it. You know, hey, this is the stuff from here that you could bring to your table and stat for DCC. And this is the stuff that you may not realize, but it was obviously influenced by this literature, and you've already played it. You know, what about this scene in this module? That's straight out of this particular book.
And if you like that, by the way, go pick up Dying Earth and read that, right? Because if you like this thing, it's there. I mean,
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone actually commented that after the Manly Wade Wellman special, they went out and they couldn't wait anymore. They had to go buy the Chained Coffin set.
Nice.
And hey, that's awesome. I mean, we're also putting out some written material with it, kind of like a free zine, but it's a little bit of homework for us, but it's also entertaining, and it gives me a chance to be a little research monkey, which I love.
So there's to me, the cool thing about it is not only just the Appendix N, you've got this great literature. I was an English and philosophy major in college, so I love this type of thing. But then it has this hook back to the founding of the hobby, right? The Dungeons and Dragons thing, Arneson Gygax. It's got that connection into AD&D, which tons of people have. So, Jen, when you're running it, do you have a horde of grognards at your game? Do you get kids? What do you see?
When I first started, it was primarily, half my table were prior GMs of mine.
Okay.
Whether it was from Lovecraft, I think Lovecraft, D&D second, and then, of course, the hubby who's run pretty much everything for us. And I'm just quaking in my seat, man. No pressure. And the rest of the guys had usually played at least one of the versions of D&D, whether it be first, second, third, 3.5, etc. I will say that in our area, not a lot of Pathfinder players are willing to make the conversion. I don't know if it's because the numbers are too simple, boiled down.
Well, I mean, if you compare a Pathfinder, Sean and I talked about this. So, Sean, I'm gonna put you on a spot for a second. One of the things he had played this before me, and we were talking about this at work, and I was kind of, if you will, getting over Pathfinder, looking for something a little less crunchy, right? Pathfinder has that the newer school, or whatever the hell you want to call it. There's a rule for everything. Some people have said, and I started talking about this concept of, I like rulings versus rules and so on. And Sean says, "Hey, that's like Dungeon Crawl Classics." So Sean, when you saw DCC, what made you want to grab it, dude? What made you say, "Hey, I want to pick this up, at least take a look at it"?
I don't even know how I came across it, actually. I'm trying to remember. Did I
Just
see
some drunken gaming bitch?
Helpful.
Nice.
I don't remember if it was at GaryCon or online. I don't remember. I bought it. I had so actually, it's funny. I went into the game store one time, and I had a choice to buy Edge of the Empire or Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I went with DCC. So I bought that before Edge of the Empire, which is funny because we're playing that now. But it might have been GaryCon where I sat in on a game, or I don't know if I met with Jen and the crew there. So when I say Jen and the crew, there's a good following that goes to GaryCon that plays Dungeon Crawl Classics. And
there's a very dedicated group.
Yes. And so I don't know if it was, I met him through there, and then I came back to work and said, "Brett, you should check out this game because it's really cool on how it works." But I don't know. I don't know how I got it, but I thought it was cool, and I brought it up. And some of the things, and Jen can help us elaborate on this. the things that make it different from D&D or Pathfinder or some of the other games out there is I think it falls in between kind of your D20 standard game as well as the old school Renaissance, even though a lot of people will lump DCC in the OSR. But I still think it has it still has, well, we'll get into some of the details, but some of the things that are unique about it is everything is dangerous. Everything is far away and wondrous. And I think that things are big and unknown and full of mystery. So like the magic and monsters.
Right? Sean, you and I talked about this before. One of the problems that you and I have both shared over the years is that when you play your classic D&D or more modern ones, shit isn't scary. It's not wondrous anymore. You're like, oh, it's red. It's this high. It's a goblin. Oh, it's a fucking kobold. It's a this. It's a that. You get very used to certain things. And so taking a different twist or spin on it makes it new and scary and wondrous and dangerous. And now all of a sudden you're afraid of the thing that might be a kobold or it could be a demon lord. You're not quite sure. Just because it looks like a thing doesn't necessarily mean it is absolutely that thing.
Right.
So Jen, when you've played other things from what you've alluded to, what makes DCC stand out to you? Why do you come back to it? Obviously, you're very involved in it. What's got it hooks in you? How did it get to you and make you stay?
It did. A good friend of ours that was one of the first gamers we met when we moved out here and didn't know a soul. Troy Tucker. And he was part of our Cthulhu group for a while. He playtested D&D Next with us. And he's run so many things for us and vice versa. And by us, I mean, of course, the illustrious, Bob. But
Bob is your husband.
Yes. He had the free RPG Day module for 2012 and said, hey, I'm going to run this for you guys. I was like, okay, I'd rather play something I know, but okay, whatever.
And free module, how good could a free module be?
Well, and we'd done free RPG Day before, but okay, Troy's never steered us wrong yet, and he had gotten the pre-gens forum online like that day, and he hadn't had a chance to look it over yet. So we're all taking copies of the book from the shelf at the friendly local gaming store, and about half an hour in, I was playing a cleric, and okay, first off, I don't have a limited number of spells. Okay, what is this madness, really?
This is nothing I've seen before. What is this?
But I really enjoyed the Warhammer Fantasy system, where you had the occupations.
Yes.
And so to me, it was taking a little part of that, and it took maybe half an hour before I was tugging on the shirt, going, honey, go buy this. This is the one I'm going to run.
Nice.
The unpredictability of the magic is probably the final thing that did it for me. Because, you see this big tome, you get intimidated by it, but dude, really the first 80 pages, and that's using big font and a whole lot of art, that's all the average player is going to use in the book. Your casters are going to use the next third or half chunk of it. And the rest is for the judge.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a huge point, because when we talk about a 480-page plus tome, we don't
That's daunting.
It is daunting, and we don't want to turn people away from this, because what Jen says is exactly spot on. A lot of it is made up by spells, because each spell takes up at least one page.
Right. And, it was funny that the next couple of weeks I spent in that store as a little evangelist saying, no, you don't understand. There's only one book. There will only ever be this one book. Different printings of it, as time progresses, but
different covers, different printing, but this is your core. This is what you need.
There's one book that is what you need to be a player. Now, to be a judge, you may wish to buy the modules and the adventures if you aren't comfortable sandboxing something, which I admittedly was not for about 2.5 years. But yeah, I would just sell them off the shelf basically at the store. And started when the store expanded, we got a nice big space to ourselves. I had up to 11 regular players, or 8 of them were regulars, and the other 3 would rotate in and out.
Beautiful.
You know, there'd be brand new people who had never role played before, and I think what appealed to them was the sense of the role play, the cooperative storytelling. The dice are just there to do the mechanics, and sometimes if it's a social based thing, I'll hand wave the dice.
Okay.
It's more important that you tell me a story.
So that's a good point. And the dice, we should maybe touch on the dice.
I was going to say
it's a good
Jen
segue. Jen set us up really awesome for the
5-6 different things we got to get to in order here, or maybe some kind of order. We don't really have an order, but
oh my god, an excuse to buy more dice. Yes,
totally.
Thank you, please.
So now, when we got back to harken back to the Star Wars thing, I bitched about the funky dice with the symbols and whatever, and I said in the first episode of that, is like, look, I own 3 sets of Dungeon Crawl Classics dice because they're dice. I'm a gamer. I'm going to get them. And we're talking, when I talk funky dice, I'm not talking like, different symbols or whatever. I'm talking like a 24-sider, a 3-sider, 30s. 30s aren't too funky, but these odd size, these, Zocchi? I can never pronounce his name correctly. Zocchi. Thank you.
I believe.
The Zocchi dice. They're the odd ones, right? You get like 24, 17, 15. I mean, there's tons of them out there, and there's the funky dice, and there's a reason for them because there's a dice chain. Now, I'm going to step back because I've not used this dice chain. You two folks, go back. I'm going to shut up for a second. How the hell do we use these dice? Why do we have all so many? What's this chain thing about?
Yeah, there's a lot. How many? Do you know how many there are, Jen?
I can count.
So we got,
I mean, the D3, which actually I'd had in my collection for years before. 3, the 4 is regular. The D5 is new.
There's a 3, 4, 5.
6s are 6s. The 7 is new, obviously. The 8. The 9 is not officially in the DCC chain, but it was included by Impact Miniatures in the Kickstarter as like a little added bonus. So I'm like, you're going to make new dice for me. I'll use them.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, 10s, percentiles. The 11 is another optional one. Then there's the D12, the D14, the D16, the D18 is another optional. 20 and 22 was the 4th optional one they threw in. And then 24 and 30. And I think the main purpose of this is because so many instances in your combats, oh, well, I want to give this person a bonus here, or, this person over here is prone, it should be a -4, or his AC is at a -4. And it's just easier to go, hey, use the next die up the chain. You're at +1 die.
So for a dude like
roll
me,
a 24 instead of a 20.
Yeah. So for a guy like me who sucks at math, instead of adding 4s and 5s and 2s and 10s and dividing by anything, I can look at Jen and say, you know what? You're down. You're at D6. Sean, you're an advantage. You get a 20. You get a this. I can I can move you up and down the chain. And by doing that, your odds are immediately modified by just surely the number of faces on the dice in front of you. Cool. Okay.
Right.
Correct. Brett. Well done, Brett.
Thank you. I worked all day for that. I in front of a mirror worked that bit. So I'm good.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So you escalate, you de-escalate with them. Sean, when you've played and you've run this before, how fast, Sean, I'm going to ask you for how fast do people get the grip of it, right? So you're the judge. You've got this thing. You're going. You've got dice. Do they pull a Brett on you and just go, I don't understand these funky dice like I did to you in the Star Wars thing? Or do they get it quick? Are they faster than me? I'm assuming they are, but does it go quick? How hard is it to grok this? Dude?
Well, with any role-playing gamer, it depends on their level on whether they can grok the dice quicker or not. And I say that because you can get somebody at the table has not role-played very often, and they really don't know the dice at all, period. Regardless of what game they're playing. So they may not. How many
times you told someone to grab a D8 and they pick up the 10? This one?
Yeah, exactly.
It takes time.
They don't know. So with this game, if they know role-playing games, they can typically look at the die type and figure it out. So if you tell them a D14, yeah, they'll probably have to look at how many sides are to one die, but it looks like the D10 with two more pips on, or two more sides on each tilt. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jen, you've run this obviously a bunch more than even Sean. How fast do newbies grab this thing?
I've got one that's been in my group for probably 2 years that today she still had a problem. But that's okay. She enjoys playing, and at this point we only get together every 2 to 3 weeks. And so I think it actually was helpful when we were doing it on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And then even the kids who had never role-played before, they would just line their dice up in a row and go, okay, that's my 10. That means there's 12. There's my 14. So everyone has their own learning curves. And really, if the dice are that important to play, I'll just throw it to her and say, hey, roll this.
Roll this one. Okay. So one of the things that when Sean and I talked about it, and I hinted at it before, and when I picked up the book and read it the first time, the concept of rulings versus rules, and that's something I've done my entire gaming career, is that I prefer to kind of make a judgment call based on what seems to be there. So that feels to me, when I read it, to be one of the overriding rules about everything. Right? You've got these funky dice. You can do escalation, de-escalation. Sometimes the rules may say, hey, a fighter gets this or a dwarf has that from a dice perspective. But if you don't get the dice, that's okay, because it's rulings over rules. The mechanical components of this are not all that complicated, really.
No, I think the attack rolls are probably the most crucial as far as dice are concerned. Well, that and spell casting. But we'll probably get into that one next show at this pace.
At this pace. We're a little slow today.
That's fine.
So, Sean, let's talk about some of the basic mechanics, huh? So we've got saves and armor class. Do we do descending armor class or ascending armor class?
Ascending.
Ascending. Okay.
Yeah, so here's where some of the elements of like a standard D20 game come into play. So the 3-0 derivatives, which would be the saves are will, fort, and reflex. So if you've played a 3-0 D20 game, those are pretty standard. And the modifiers for those are, +1, +2, +3, +4, whatever, depending on level. And then the AC is nice because it's ascending. So the higher the roll, the better, right, Brett? Fatco
again,
minus 10.
I've already come off the fact that I don't need my charts. I got it. Ascending's better than descending. Fine. Moving on.
It is far easier, yes.
It's just so much easier and simpler, yeah.
So
I think those are the and then you have the abilities too, which aren't noted in our notes, but they're the standard abilities. Actually, no. Maybe we should get into the ability scores.
So now a lot of game systems, when you talk D20, the D20 is a critical hit or ones are fumbles.
Well, that's a whole nother ball game.
Hit charts and stuff. I think let's get into that when we talk combat later on.
Yeah.
Right. But there's some funky, cool stuff. We've hinted at this when we talk critical charts a couple episodes back. But characters, I want to play this thing. This sounds sexy. This sounds cool. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to make it. I want a Dwarven Ranger. Can I do that?
Brett ranges everything on sexiness.
I do.
You could probably do it if you were using one of the crawl zines.
Okay.
What's a crawl zine, Jen?
Crawl zine, Reverend Dak Ultimac has a fanzine called Crawl with an exclamation point. It's very important. He's at Stray Couches Press, I want to say, .com.
Okay.
And they've currently got 11 issues out. They've got an ad in the very first printing of the book. So he's been around for a while, and some of his rules I use as, biblical text in my game.
Awesome.
I love the shields shall be splintered, and even the alternate rules for things like rolling over the body, which... Oh, I'm terribly sorry to confuse people who may not have played this before, but
it's okay. So I'm going to stop you for a second. So I'm
enthusiastic.
That's
Points
okay.
for that, right?
This is why you're here. So when we talk it though, this reminds me a lot of what I would consider the Frank Mesner red boxy type thing, where a dwarf is a class, elf is a class, fighter's a class. Warrior. Thank you. So when I talk to a few gamer types, like, oh, that feels almost too old school or too something or other. And then I show them the book and I'm like, look, dwarf has these type of progression components, or halfling, elf, warrior, and the different cool features of it. It doesn't feel, how do I do this?
Stunted?
It doesn't feel stunted, and I don't feel the need to be a dwarven warrior or a human rogue. I don't feel that like I'm worried about mixing the race and the class. Like I've got to have this combination as I usually do in D&D. That call back to the older one, the Moldave and the Metzner red boxy type thing is pretty strong, and I think it's kind of cool. I've run that type of game before, so that works for me.
Right, and race is class in this one.
Yep.
If you're not a race, you're a human, and you're always welcome to house rule. Otherwise, but as written, you've got the cleric, the thief, the warrior, and the wizard, and unless you roll your occupation, otherwise, that's your race will be human.
So, Sean, you've talked about this with me before when we talk about occupation and such. DCC has the funnel, right? So when you start out, you can start out with, and this is the thing I think that I've heard a lot of people who are fans of it tell me that, dude, have you done a funnel yet? Oh, if you've never played before, you got to play a DCC funnel. And my first one, what the fuck is a funnel? So I read the book and I figure it out. But Sean, tell me what's a funnel? How do we do this?
Well, Brett, you pour your oil through it when you don't want to make a mess in your engine.
Nice.
But in addition to that, in DCC, you start out with 0 level characters. And if you play true to the game, which in the beginning of the DCC book, it actually asks you, look, just trust us, do it this way, and you'll have fun. You'll enjoy it. You'll find a different aspect of gaming and role-playing games. And that is like you roll your abilities randomly, right? It's typically the 3d6, and you assign it to the ability that you want. But you start out 0 level. You are not a class at 0 level. So you are plumber. You have a career or, that respect. So you come from that background. So you'll be cook, baker, rope maker, blacksmith are just some of them, whatever you come up with. Now, if you're dwarf or elf, then you will, in halfling, you will inevitably become those classes after the funnel. But essentially, when you create all your 0 levels, you typically have anywhere between 4 and 6 per player. Jen, you can interrupt me anytime when I start straying off course.
No, you're fine.
We don't hear that.
Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary indeed. But the whole principle of it is you are tired of slaving away doing what you're doing every day, and you're out to make it rich, strike it rich. And so you adventure out to find the gold, where they're the treasure, or the hoard, or the rumors of riches over the hills. And so when you play a funnel, you're playing 0 level individuals, and they have 2 hit points, 3 hit points, 4 hit points. And because of the lethality of Dungeon Crawl, the mortality rate, I should say, of Dungeon Crawl Classics, whoever survives the funnel typically will level up to level 1.
And that's your character.
And that's your character. Now, back in the day, I hate to sound all crusty old. Back in the day, Brett.
But
we used to play it like that. We would have, at least we did, played 4-player characters, even at level 1. AD&D did have level 0.
Yes, it did.
But we would play that, and we'd have 4, and we'd always kind of covet the one we wanted to survive, right?
Yeah, so if you wanted the magic user, I had him, and I had 2-3 extra fighters, and I just throw the meat shields in front of the mage all day long.
Exactly.
Make sure the mage survived.
Right. And so there is a bit of that.
Not that I've ever done that before, but yes, I've sacrificed many a fighter for my magic user.
So the people that will poo-poo this type of method, like, hey, I really don't like that at all. Like, I want to create my character initially on what I want that character to be. I have the concept. I want it to be that way. Where this is unique, where people that go through the funnel and they have the characters that actually survive, you actually become more attached to those because they've gone through such turmoil and battles or whatever.
Yes, it truly is character building.
It is, right,
absolutely.
Jen?
I can see it. One of the things that Jen talked about, and I've got the occupation list in front of me, is if you've ever played Warhammer, first edition especially, you had these weird, you could be a rat catcher is one of the more famous ones. A rat catcher, a dwarven tunnel fighter.
Brett said before he wanted to be a project manager,
I was going to be a rat catcher.
he was going to be a rat catcher.
And I found out I'm basically doing the same goddamn job.
But getting paid more.
Getting paid more
than
now
a rat
because
catcher.
The title is fancier.
That's right.
But you've got everything from, I've got alchemist, armorer, astrologer, dwarven herder, elven barrister, gambler, gravedigger, halfling chicken butcher, I shit you not, a halfling dyer, herder, herbalist, indentured servant, jesters. We've got nobles, orphans, outlaws.
Brett, you're going to name a table off of like 100 of them.
It's awesome. There's like 90 plus of these things. It's just
you roll a percentile.
It's very cool.
And each one comes with its own trained weapon and trade goods.
Absolutely. So you get right out of the gate whipping these. I guess making these characters is not hard.
No.
So it's not like a Pathfinder game, for example, where you sit down and you crunch through the numbers and figure out your feat progression and whatever else you want to do there. But it's very, very fast. So you can crank out 4 or 5 first level characters, or 0 level characters in this case, to go through a funnel in pretty quick time, I think.
Yeah, I think Sean's actually a little bit more lenient than I am because I have you roll 3d6 all the way down.
Yes, that is
Strength,
the
agility,
way.
stamina, personality, and then depending on which character sheet you're using, it's either intelligence or luck, and then vice versa. Which gets confusing when you're transferring them to your first level character sheet, after you survive the funnel. But
got it. Okay.
That's a good point. That is the way you should do it. Is right down 3d6 down the ability.
So many people complain about that, but I actually like playing the flawed characters. Like, yes, give me the little guy with a stamina of 6 and all these negative modifiers and a single hit point.
Because now, guess what? He's got character. My character's got character now, right?
Exactly. What good is it to have all these maxed out things? Because then you actually stop being special. Yeah, okay. We know you can hit, whatever.
My mom would tell me I never stop being special, Jen.
Yeah, your mom lied to you, Sean, just like mine lied to me.
Oh, damn it.
So we've talked about, I think we've touched on this before, perhaps not in depth, but this is one of those games where, much like Star Wars Edge of the Empire and other game systems Sean and I have hinted at or whatever, if you want to play the game, you need to play the game. If you come in a Dungeon Crawl Classics, I don't know if I like this, you have to be willing to try it, right? As I said before, I'll say it again, I'm not a big Star Wars guy. However, I'm like, I want to learn the system. I want to get into it. And Sean still hates me for not liking Star Wars.
I do totally hate you, man. I can't even believe I'm a friend of yours still.
We're not friends anymore. This is just professional now.
Oh, true.
Anyway,
feeling the love.
It says that, like as Sean states, and as Jen calls out too, it tells you in the book, seriously, trust us. Goodman uses those words. Trust me, try this, give it a shot, and it's going to be fun. The spirit of the game, the whole game is built around this type of adventuring and this type of environment. So it's worth going in there right out of the gate in that spirit and in that approach, because you're going to have a hell of a lot more fun with the game than if you try to bring a different games approach or a different games mentality to your Dungeon Crawl Classics game. It probably won't mesh. If you try to bring Pathfinder or D&D 4E or Savage Worlds into this, it's not going to be the same. You're going to find yourself disappointed. Get in the spirit of DCC and go, and I think you're going to like it better.
Bravo!
Well put.
Wow.
Thank you.
Jeez.
So let's talk more about our characters here. We've got, Jen, you ran through, we've got strength, agility, stamina, personality, intelligence, luck.
Mm-hmm.
The luck is the one that I look at and go, okay, I get strength, agility, stamina, personality, charisma thing, intelligence, I get that. Luck seems, anytime I've seen it in the game before, that's like this really cool thing. What's luck here? I mean, how does this
Luck
work?
is a stat that after any roll, you can burn your luck to add to the success of your roll.
So
Whether it's
if I
your
burn
attack,
something,
damage,
what happens when I'm burning my stats? So if I've got a 12 in luck and I burn it, what do I do? How do I burn something?
Well, it depends on what level you are.
Oh.
If you're 0 level, doesn't matter. There's no class to bother with. You're not getting that back. So whatever your luck is, your luck is. Now, once you
0
get to
level, I got a 12 luck, and I say I'm going to burn 2 luck or 1 or whatever I'm allowed. It's gone.
Right.
It's like hit points. Okay.
Now you do get a little birth augur that's based on your luck modifier, and that will never change. And that's got some pretty cool stuff like born on horseback. You get a +1 to your mounted combat rolls. Or, whatever your luck modifier is at the time of care gen, that's what your birth augur remains. And there's been a lot of discussion on that in communities and forums and everything because so many people end up with just an average score and a 0 modifier. Yeah, at that point, if the players start grumping, I feel it's up to the judge to make any concessions. But moving on from that, once you're first level and further, thieves and halflings regenerate their luck. So if you have 12 luck as a thief, not only do you get to roll a specific die based on your level to see how much luck you get to add to that roll, at the end of the day, you can regenerate a point of that luck, just like you could regenerate a point of one of your physical stats.
Very cool.
A halfling being the little luck battery of the group, the halfling can burn a luck and give 2 points of luck to anybody in his party.
Oh, okay. So he's there.
He's the luck battery.
Nice. So we're playing, you and I, Sean and I are going. You're running us into some crazy insanity, and poor Sean's down. I'm the halfling. Boom! I throw some luck over to my partner. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, he's about to be just splattered onto the wall. He's got 1 shot left to make this happen,
I don't know if I'm gonna save him.
Oh man, he's down by 3. He needs 3 points to assist on the attack, and he can spare 1 point of luck before it puts him down to like a 2 or something.
I can throw a little extra.
You can throw 1 point, which counts as 2 for him.
Nice.
And then at the end of the day, you regenerate that.
Okay. Cool.
So luck is also kind of a bendy thing for the judge because the person with the lowest luck is often the poor sap that keeps getting attacked from behind while you guys are traipsing through the forest.
Okay. So for anyone out there, Phil Vecchio, I'm looking at you. If you've played Amber before, Diceless, Amber has a thing called good stuff and bad stuff. If you've got bad stuff, that means the nasty shit happens to you. And I think there may be other game systems that do this, but that's the one that jumps to my brain right now. If you're a guy in Amber and your character, she's got, 5 in bad stuff and no one else in the group has 5 in bad stuff, guess who gets shot in the head, right? It's you. Whatever the nasty thing, bad luck happens, it's you. So that's kind of
you become
cool.
the target. Yeah.
Yeah. It's luck isn't a dump stat.
No, luck also comes into it when you get knocked unconscious or you're bleeding out. Your friends can recover you, but you need to make a luck roll, and that's under your current luck in order to have that be successful.
Okay.
So the higher level players get, I've got 1 6th level player in my game that his max luck is now 7. That means he's got to roll a 7 or lower to be resurrected or revived, I should say. Never say the resurrect word. In order to continue play as this character.
And that's on a D20.
On a D20.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It gets tricky.
So we're talking about burning stats. Now, the luck one, the reason I zipped in on luck is because luck is is fresh and new to the stat block in my eyes anyway. So I can burn strength, I can burn agility and stamina. Why would I burn my stats? How do I use that in the game?
For the physical stats, you would specifically look at burning those if you were an elf or a wizard casting arcane spells. You can do what's called Spellburn.
Spellburn.
So when we talk about
which is
magic,
clearly where Job got the name from. Yes.
All right. So if I decide to, if I'm doing some little extra oomph I need in my spell, I can suck my strength or stamina or my agility dry or drier.
You never want to go under 3, but
keep
in mind, if you burn your stamina down or you lose your stamina by certain effects or whatnot, that can affect your hit point total too. Just like losing con in D&D.
Got it. Okay.
But, there's a table in here, Spellburn actions, and it's just kind of a rough guideline. You get to roll a d24. Yay, more weird dice.
Love it.
And then, maybe the wizard sees maggots dripping from his sleeves, and he's got to slice his arms to get them out.
Oh my God.
That's just the action to tell the story about why you're knocking your stats down.
Okay.
Don't just make it a mechanical thing on your sheet and tell me, I'm adding 4 points to my spell casting. No. How are you doing it?
Got it.
It's very much for me in the lines of when you're playing a dwarf or a wizard, a warrior, brain, you get what's called a deed die, as opposed to just a basic +1, +2, etc. as you level up.
So the dwarves
that gets to your attack.
Yeah, your dwarves and your warriors, those are your main frontline fighters. Types anyway, and this deed die, if I'm recalling, I'm going to throw this at you. This is basically what I've talked to other people like. Those cool feats that used to those fighter feats.
Exactly.
It's like that. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Precision shot is usually the most common, and as a level 2, you get to add a D4 to your roll, and it progresses. Starts at a D3 and progresses from there. And so you roll that D4 along with your D20 on your attack. And I see you rolling it at my table. What are you doing? Oh, I'm attacking. No. How are you doing it? It's a mighty deed. Make it cinematic.
Okay.
It puts me back in mind of 7th Sea, a pirate game by AEG that was out in the... Oh, geez.
Yeah, John Wick is actually redoing it right now.
Yes, I'm excited to see that. One of the passages in there is, with such and such a stat, when you're doing this action, you're not just swinging from the line from one deck to the other. You are Errol fucking Flynn.
Yeah, exactly.
So make it pretty. And that's, those, to me, that's the mighty deed.
Okay. Sean, now I want to talk a little bit about some of the charts. We've talked a little, you and I talked about charts with critical hits and so forth. Before we get in, I want to talk about a little bit more about classes possibly and skills and whatnot. But you've played, obviously Jen's really good at the rules. She runs with us. You are probably not as good at the rules as Jen. But anyway, when I got to hit him. So Sean, when you've played DCC with the charts for all these different components, there's a lot of really cool charts in here, critical hit, fumbles, and other great things in there. When you're doing it, how encumbering does that feel to you? Do the charts help the game? Do they flow quick, or how's it impacted your speed, if you will?
So what
I'm all about speed.
So what Brett is referring to is the tables that make up the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game. There are a lot of tables. But having said that, they're fun tables.
Yes, and they're legible tables.
Yes.
They're not shrunk down in like 6-point fonts.
Yes, and they're not cross-reference goofy tables like armor class tables in AD&D. Hello!
Or some of the spells in First Ed. Yeah, QV, this spell.
Yeah.
Really?
QV means what? Yeah.
Latin abbreviations refer to.
Yes.
Great.
Exactly.
So we're not going to get into magic this week, I don't think. I think we should talk about that.
I don't have time for that.
Right, because there's crit tables, fumble tables, there's magic tables that you roll on. There's, what am I missing? I think those are the main ones.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them.
And that's about it for the players.
Yes.
Yes.
And the cool thing is, because the way the classes are, there's a dwarf crit, there's an elf crit type of thing, right? I mean, it tells you, yo, you're this thing, you're in this is your chart. This is your chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So if I'm playing a halfling, I don't really have to bother too much what the warrior's chart looks like. I have my own chart to bother through to figure out what happens with my fumbles and so forth and my crits. And if I'm not a wizard, I don't necessarily need, on the player side, it's not very cumbersome to me to have to worry about the spell charts, because that's the wizard's problem and the cleric's problem.
Right. And there's only one table for fumbles.
Okay, fair. Good point.
Across the board. And yeah, that falls in the same camp of there's been some grumbling, so people home rule their own. Or one of the best things about that G+ community is the amount of material that's just put out there by all the other players. Hey, I made this additional fumble table for my magic users. And hey, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll print that, put it in my little book of tricks.
So Jen, so my question is, how fast does it impact speed? Now, I've said this before on the show for anyone who's listened to me before, is I want my mechanics to be background noise when I can, so basically fast resolution. When you're hitting these charts, does it feel fast to you, or do people stumble over it? It's totally
a mixed bag. It depends on
right?
At this point, it depends on if you're using the judge's screen. Like the one that was released for Free RPG Day specifically has the fumble chart in there, as well as Crit Table 1, which is for all 0-level characters and incidentally all wizards. But that's based on the fact that most of the road crew games that are done are funnels.
Okay.
So you have that chart and or the screen rather, and you don't need a whole lot of other stuff. Funnels are the easiest thing to judge because you don't have the extra abilities, the spell casting, the mighty deeds, all of that good stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna give props to Tom Hall. You know Tom, Jen.
Oh yeah.
He played, yeah. So Tom showed up to Job's game, the first DCC game I ever played at GaryCon.
Oh my goodness!
And I met Tom.
The one who watches from below.
Yes. Yep.
I played that with you.
Yes, you did. That was the first time I met you. Yep.
Okay.
And Tom passed out his character sheets for 0-level funnels, and they were the size of a business card.
I still carry those with me.
Right, and he passed them out.
Brilliant.
You need.
Yeah, on a business card.
And that evening, Doug Kovacs ran a little thing that was off book, and I made a 2nd-level dwarf on that little card.
Right. Yeah.
I don't need a whole lot of room for this, and this. But getting back to your question, Brett, for full leveled play, especially campaigns or whatnot, or higher level play, if you have an experienced table, it really helps because one player has they're flipping to the page already for the crit table while the other person rolls the dice.
Got it.
So it becomes a really seamless thing.
Okay. The other piece is that, just for folks out there, right? DCC, it's a tome, right? From a hardcover perspective. I love my hardcover, so I've got one. I also do have the PDF. You can get the PDF and Drive Through RPG. I think I don't know if the sale is still on, but they had a sale not that long ago on them where go to Drive Through RPG. The price of it's definitely worth your $1 to look at it. And so where I'm getting at is, once you have a PDF, if you're the judge or the player and you want to print the components or just keep those pieces, modify the PDF a little bit just to have your own personal stack of those things in your e-reader or whatever, that can be very helpful, right? So that's how, when I started hacking through stuff, I started taking the different character sheets and stuff and creating my own little folders to have on my iPad. So that way I went, here's my charts for my fumbles and stuff, and I would use my book for something different. So it's
I've seen people laminate the pages and put them in a binder.
Makes sense.
Or if they're playing a dwarf and they're X level, the only thing they really need to look at is some of the combat stuff and the mighty deeds of arms. And so they'll print that stuff out, and that's what they keep with their character sheet. So they don't have to lug the book around all the time.
Okay. Sean, what have you got in your hand there, buddy?
The best reference. This is the bomb. Jen knows what I'm talking about. This is the DCC reference sheets.
Okay.
It's a let's see how many pages.
That's booklet. A Lulu printing.
This is? No, I got this from who did I get this from? Roy Schneider from the DCC. So Roy Schneider does cons for Joseph.
Right.
And he had it in there with some of the zines that you could just buy.
Oh, very cool.
So
I've seen them on Lulu as well. You can get them printed individually.
Yeah,
very
so
nice.
This is the bomb because it has a lot of the tables that you need, and it's all in one booklet. So you don't have to page through the big tome. You just pull it up, and you can mark the pages. It's really easy and flexible.
Well, and that should show how cool Joseph Goodman is, because that little book reuses almost every single table from the book with his permission.
Yes.
That is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. And Doug did
Who does that?
Doug did the cover.
Yeah. Doug Kovacs provided the cover artwork for that one. I think Jeremy Durham is the one that put that together.
Yes.
Just to give credit where credit is due.
Yep. Jeremy Durham. Yep. Editor and editing and layout. And then,
Have I mentioned how awesome the third-party publisher community is with this group? Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, so obviously, Sean, we're running a little on the long side here, dude. So we're gonna have to have an episode 2. There's no two ways around.
Jen, are you up for episode 2?
I can probably wing it.
Part 2?
Sweet. Part 2.
Sweet.
Part 2. Yeah.
So I think we've teased enough of the different bits and pieces and got enough of the basics, if you will, concepts out there. Next time through, Jen and Sean, what I'm thinking, we'll throw this out there via emails and plus post and so on. I want to kind of, obviously, we got to talk Spellburn. We got to talk how magic works, not only from the wizard perspective, but from the cleric world. And I also want to talk a little bit about the combat and how the narrative components play into this, because some people have. A lot of times you talk OSR, people are like, yeah, but the mechanics don't always support a style of play or whatever it is. And I really believe when I read through DCC, the spirit and the feel of this game makes me want to play it the way Goodman wants it played. And I think that's something worth talking about.
The only limitation is your players' imaginations.
Absolutely. Sean, are you good with that, man?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's get into die roll.
Let's do it.
All right, die roll. 2d4 miscellaneous points of topics of gaming and geekery we want to bring to your attention. Brett has 3 this week. I have 4, but I will only go with 3.
Awesome.
Jakes.
So it basically, what Jen says, Purple Sorcerer Games, they have one of the first things I started looking for because I didn't have the dice at first. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a die roller out there. The Crawler Companion, purplesorcerer.com /crawler.php. We've got a link in the show notes. Check those guys out. It's a free app for your iPhone. I think there's also for Android and stuff. It's a really cool tool. You can roll dice. It has critical charts in it. It has all sorts of really cool stuff. If you're going to play DCC and you have a mobile device you want to muck with, you don't have the dice, this is a good way to get a hold of it. A little electronic die roll at the table. It's free. It's really cool. Second one I had was at EverCon. I picked up 3 Cheers for Master. It's a little card game by Atlas Games. Link in the show notes. Ken and Robin had mentioned it a few times as a promo spot on their podcast. I bought it. My son AJ and I figured it out. He loved the game so much, he then spent time teaching my friends how to play it. So he went around the little room we were in. This little, 9-year-old boy, hey, I got to teach you how to play this game. It was so fun. Basically, what you're trying to do is build cheerleading pyramids out of minions to please Master. And then you've got, because Master's depressed, and you have all these cards you play on each other to cause fights within them and the pyramids to collapse, and whoever has the most points in the end wins, and whoever loses gets eaten. So It's a hoot. He loves that game, and by God, it's fun.
Have you ever played it, Jen?
I haven't, but now I want to.
It is fun. It's just it's a hoot. The other one, I stole this one before Sean could get at it. The Curse of Strahd. I think I totally misspelled
The Cure of Strahd.
I forgot the S. I had the Cure. God, that was terrible.
Good help is so hard to find.
I know. The Curse of Strahd. So link out there. Basically, if you listen to our bonus BS episode from GameholeCon where we listened to Chris Perkins, he talked about it, and Sean and I both said, clearly it's Ravenloft.
Duh.
Next, well, duh. Guess what? Ding, ding, ding. Brett and Sean are right. We can read very obvious paintings on walls like anybody else. And there you go.
We got your number. Hey, we got your number, Chris Perkins.
Exactly. Your very obvious clues towards the direction we were going were not lost upon our keen senses.
Wonder if it had anything to do with him slipping me a sticky note that said Strahd on it.
It might have. That didn't happen. Anyway, March 15th, look for that. Link in the show notes. If you haven't seen it here or heard about it already, it'll be out all over the place because it's D&D. So that's what I got. Sean, over to you, man.
All right. How to run a DCC RPG tournament funnel. Jen, where'd I get this thing? Spellburn.com.
It sounds like something Mr. Wampler wrote.
Did he?
Yes.
Jim? Okay, awesome.
Speaking of old school guys, I mean, just for anybody who doesn't know Mr. Jim Wampler.
Speaking of an old school guy, I mean,
has he been around a while? Is he new to this sport? I mean, has he? Jim Wampler? Yeah.
I'm neither his mom nor his publicist, so I'm not qualified to answer either of those.
Old school TSR guy. I bumped into him a couple times at different cons. Super cool dude. A lot of fun. I follow him on Facebook. Great guy. A lot of fun. Anyway, sorry. Total aside there. Sean, keep going.
I think Jim might be on the same podcast panel at GaryCon this year. I don't know if Jen knows about this.
Probably not.
Okay.
I live under a rock.
That's okay. Anyways, moving on. Never mind, Jen. Anyways, Spellburn podcast. Come on. If you want to know about Dungeon Crawl Classics,
check out Spellburn.
You guys check out Jen and the gang at Spellburn. Job, Jim, who's over there? Jeffrey still over there?
Jeffrey Tedlock, Job Bittman, and myself. Due to writing deadlines and constraints and just overall real life stuff, Jim isn't with the normal lineup at this point.
Gotcha.
Got it.
But he's still one of my boys. So yeah.
He's still part of the motorcycle gang over there. If you see their pictures over there. They make
that was so much fun.
They make Brett. They put Brett to shame. Brett looks like a little powder puff girl.
I look like a little powder puff girl. Oh,
next to the gang over at Spellburn.
Now Now I got to go hang out with these guys. Just I got to up my cred.
Yeah, you got to check them out.
Got to fix my image.
Number 3, Dungeon Crawl Classics G+ community. So
definitely,
if you're not on G+, get over there. And then if you're a DCC fan or you want to know more about DCC, join the community. Link in the show notes.
I'll tell you what, one of the cool things about G+, just a quick piece. Sean, I've said this before. Troll numbers way down. Cool gamers who want to tell you cool gaming shit way up compared to like a Facebook or other social environments. You go on Google+, grab a community like this one. You're going to find people that are passionate about the game and want to work with you and support you. We have the same thing in the other communities I see. It's the place, quite frankly, social media-wise, for gamers to collaborate and collect themselves. It's a really good place to be.
So there,
Brett, you don't have to worry about other people touching your damn dice.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So there, Brett has just isolated all our Facebook fans. Thank you. And you can email Brett at gamingnbs.com/we're mad at, and subject line, we're mad at Brett.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. People are mad at me all the time.
Number 4, Dungeon Crawl Classics home on the web. So you can find it and know more over at goodmangames.com. It's actually goodman-games.com. But it's important to know, since we're talking about it, check them out. And then I will also add a link to the Crawl where you can find Crawl Zine. And I'll add a link to that as well. So
perfect.
So Jen, part of the show, you didn't take part in die roll, but as every guest, we run them through skill check. Are you ready for skill check?
She looks ready. Go.
She's like,
get
what
her
is skill
before
check?
she moves.
Sure.
Hit her before she runs. Dude, go fast, quick.
All right, Jen, this is a series of 4, depends on which way you go, random questions to get to know you as a gamer. Are you ready?
Blue.
They're very easy. Jen.
She's sharp.
Yes.
She's very sharp.
Player or GM?
Judge.
Okay. Such a rebel.
Nicely
Have
done.
we met?
Such a rebel. All right. Judge. Screen or no screen?
No screen.
Ooh.
Let the players see their doom.
Modules or original content?
Both.
Oh, that's an either or.
You have a preference. If I said, hey, look, you're going to do one or the other.
Probably module then, especially if it's short notice.
Okay.
Balanced encounter or screw balance?
Screw balance.
Favorite RPG?
Like Jen all the time.
No brainer.
I don't know that one, Jen. Is that a new one?
It's the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game, as opposed to just the DCC line, which is like the first 61 modules that were put out for various versions of that other game.
Well done. That was Jen and her skill check. Well done. Thank you so much. All right. So, sponsor. We'll get into the sponsor. Go over to gradeout.etsy.com and support our sponsor, Grade Out Productions. Buy a dice bag. Yeah, so if you buy DCC dice,
you need a dice bag. Dur. Use a gaming NBS, all one word, promo code. You get 10% off your order. You want a DCC themed something, get a hold of Michael. Tell him what you're looking for. He'll do custom stuff. So get a hold of him. He does good work.
Thanks, Michael, for sponsoring the show. Patrons show brought to you by patrons like Joe Swick and Kevin Lovecraft and new patron Tony Baker. Thanks, Tony, for supporting the show. Final words, Jen. Where can people find you on the web if they want to know more about what Jen's got going on?
Oh, geez. Well, there's redstripeypants.blogspot.com, which is probably not as active as it should be. There's spellburn.com. There's sanctum.media for the Sanctum Secorum podcast. G+, Facebook. Yeah. Stuff.
Jen's all over the place.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining
Yes.
us, Jen.
I appreciate you putting up with our shenanigans, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully
and
you will stick us out till next episode.
I can probably make it here.
Yay! We didn't turn her off.
She doesn't hate us
Yay!
yet. We got one more episode.
So thanks for tuning in. We are going to be covering DCC a little bit more involved in the second parter of next week. I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night. Good game and all.